everybody, and welcome to Lashena Special. Today's show is a Father's Day special. Father's Day is coming up, and I'm trying to reach, a lot of the young fathers out there that's inactive in their kids' lives and inspire them to become active. Today on our show, we have Supreme Richardson, and he will be talking about some events that he's putting together for fathers, and hopefully you guys will look him up on the internet and get involved in this event. Hello, Supreme. How you doing today? Can you give us a little history of you and your work?
Well, a lot of people know me in the community as an activist. I work with the community around a lot of the community issues that they may have. I'm the third vice president for the Boston NAACP. I also own Supreme Entertainment, which pays me, because Boston NAACP, I'm volunteering there. Okay. As well as I volunteer for an organization called TFCC Boston, which have been working with fathers around the probate issue of them being able to enter into their children's lives.
Oh, okay. So, nice. So I have a couple of questions here, and I wrote them down so I don't, forget to cover anything. So this is a Father's Day special. So you are a father, but you also my GNS. That's my guest here, my solution. As a father, if you was just telling other men about your father experience, I guess one of the questions would be, what happened in your relationship with the mother that made you a single dad?
Well, I sit with a lot of fathers, and since I've been on this campaign of, getting some rights to my, having life in my youngest son's life.
Okay.
Every parent goes, or every relationship sometimes go different. Some ends up in a crazy breakup, some ends up in a civilized breakup. Either way, it still affects the child, and in my eyes, it's you got to become humbled and say, now that you have another life in play, you have to be responsible for that life. So with my difficulties, I didn't want to argue in front of my kids. That's one of my main subjects that I keep up with, is I don't argue in front of the kids. But what I did was I just took on my due process, my legal rights. And even though it seemed like it was a frustrating thing to deal with the courts and trying to get them to understand, the only thing I'm asking for is the time to be with my son or time to spend with the minor child. The court's only duty is to pretty much try to find a civilized way of making that happen. And even though we as fathers, we feel like we go to probate court, we don't get our rights, it's about how you express it and what rights are you asking for. The courts don't want to make that decision. They need you to make it, because they didn't make the child and they didn't make the relationship. So it's pretty much up to you of how you want to do it. So I went on a crusade and found out about shared parenting, and I talked about that a lot. Mm-hmm. And I learned that there is a process called a parenting plan that you could put into place, which gives you less communication with the other parent, especially if you have a bad communication with that parent. Mm-hmm. And it gives both parents the understanding of what's supposed to happen at what time, on what day, and what time of the month.
Oh, that sounds awesome. And this is probably something we need in the community, since so many of, the kids is out here fatherless. And, I was really hoping to make this show an awareness to fathers, because it's the mothers that's out here that celebrate Father Day that's coming up, and we really consider ourselves as fathers to the kids, and we have sons and everything, and just to see one man stepping up to father their kids, hopefully.
I want to say, that is so true, and even in our organizations and nonprofit organizations, I see more of our women stepping up to the plate. Mm-hmm. This is one of the reasons why I challenge our men, what I'm saying? And Obama did it, and we ridiculed him for that. But it's true. The fathers men need to step up and take the place. That's one of the reasons why myself and these other organizations with these fathers decided that we need to have a fathers conference. We need to wake up our fathers. And so we're looking at trying to organize this conference where it can be best effective, because this is a possibility of change.
Okay.
Whereas most men don't interact or get into community activism, or they don't get involved with the actual building of their communities, it creates a big void.
I see they have your conference on the screen. Is this what this is looking like right here up on the screen? That's
right
how
now.
your
What we're doing
conference
is we're recruiting all the organizers, because we're talking about a 4-day conference. Okay, this 4-day conference is it starts off with a march of all the men marching the streets of Boston. We haven't decided on no routes, no nothing like that. This is all in planning stage. So right now what we're doing is recruiting fathers and men to be involved, as well as nonprofit organizations and other organizations to be involved with this, so that we can actually make an impact on not only older gentlemen, but younger gentlemen and newer generations, and even those who are not becoming fathers.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm interested. I can't wait to see this all come together, because I would love to see, especially the African Americans, unite in a way where, you know, they don't have to look at each other as enemies, and they don't have to feel pressured about being responsible, taking responsibility for their kids. So how do you feel about men being called deadbeat dads? Do you like the word, would you rather word like inactive dad?
There's no such thing as a deadbeat dad. I just want to put that out there. There's no such thing as a deadbeat dad.
Okay, and why
I
you
mean,
say that?
and the reason why I say that is because our probate laws, it's made supposed to be support for the child. But we lost perception of what support is. Now we look at support as a financial aid to this child. To raise a child and to keep a stable home, you need to get face-to-face time with that child. In order to bestow values in that child, you need that face-to-face time. When the home, I call it a shattered, when you have a shattered home, the child only gets one part of that culture that he should have a dual part in.
Yeah, and isn't that the part that makes the deadbeat, the word deadbeat?
The word that makes the deadbeat is the financial part. That's what makes the deadbeat.
Okay.
Because they aren't able to pay. I have a father right now that's with me right now who has a full-time job.
Okay.
Okay. He makes a good amount of money a week, but he lives in the street. The reason why he's living in the street because he can't afford an apartment, because he's paying child support. He has 3 children, and his child support payments is majority of his paycheck each week. I understand we're trying to curve and solve one problem, but by doing it the way we're doing it, we're creating another. You know, so to me, you know, there are those dads that don't want to do support, that are not supporting, and we have to look at the reasons as to why, because sometimes it is the other partner who's preventing contact, who's preventing access to the minor child, or doing things out of vengeance just because they, you know, feel like, okay, the relationship's over, I got to be mean to this person. But we need to start sending a new message. You don't have to be mean with each other. You have a partnership. The partnership cannot be dissolved unless the child's demise. And we don't want that. We don't want our youth and our child's demise. We want to look at our children and grow and make them the best for our future, because that is our future. So we have to learn.
So what word would you use, though? Because, I mean, like, as a woman that take care of her own child, and, you know, the father wasn't there to help me, what should I call this guy?
Absent father.
An absent father.
An absent father.
Oh, okay.
He's absent out of the child's life. Now, if you want to talk about financial, yeah, he's deadbeat. If he's not giving you the finances to help you, or he's not, yeah, he's a deadbeat, okay. But I don't look at deadbeat because, again, it takes more than money to raise a child.
Right.
And the most important component is that face-to-face value time. Absent of that, you could pay all day, but you're still putting a mental duress on that child. I mean, we have seen it over time and time again where children were adopted that looked for their biological parents. It's the same principle when you separate from that home. That child is wondering where their mother or father is, depending on who's the caretaker and the primary parent.
Right. Well, it looks good and it sounds good, and I would love to talk more about it, but it looks as though we're coming close to a commercial break. So I want to just throw one more question in there before the commercial break come up, and that question is, I know you said an absent father. What about, do you like the word inactive dad? Like,
that's a fair word.
We have to try to find a way to identify with the fathers that's like just making these kids and abandoning the kids, you know.
You could put it in many categories. Inactive, active, you know, absent. You know, invisible.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean, you can put it in many concepts, but we got to learn to, you know, we got to look at another process other than creating a financial burden on the other parent. You know, because it's only one parent that gets the burden, and sometimes that burden puts that parent in a bad situation. And when you put someone in a bad situation, survival kicks in. And when survival kicks in, we're talking about other problems coming up the pike. That's not helping our community. We need to find ways to help our community. If there's a father that can't afford it, then what do we do in that circumstances? Do we, how do we
Or what do he do in that circumstance? Because the circumstance is like, if you can't afford it, right?
It takes a village.
Should he take responsibility to?
Individual fathers have been trying to figure this out.
Okay.
So it does them no good until they actually get themselves to the table.
All right, well, that's a good thing to wrap up on. We'll be back in 2 more minutes with more of our Father's Day special with Supreme Richardson. Thank you.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Hey, you going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather. Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember? Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just playing on trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it. You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.